I don't agree with a lot in Ben Hogan's 5 Fundamentals books. I think this is going to be heresy. People are going to crucify me for this, but
also that's a hot take right there.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
hot take.
So, but like, unfortunately, his book, because again, it's based off of his body, and I think it was post-accident swing. Maybe it's not post-accident, but it's not his fault. He was describing what he did and what he thought he did in the swing, but now how people take and interpret that and mess it all up, right? They fire the hips too hard, and then the club head gets behind the hands, and then they slice it, or they got to flip it to catch it up because they didn't understand what he was doing for him might not translate well to them. He has an image in the book of doing a old school basketball pass from way back in the day. And it's, if you go to the book, do you have it with you? You have it pulled up right now or something? You've got the basketball pass.
Just to answer the question, the copyright of Ben Hogan's 5 Modern Fundamentals is 1957. His car accident was 1949. So yes.
So say boom. See, the professor's got it right. It's post-accident. See? Never question. So if you go in the book, it's probably halfway through the book where he's talking about the basketball pass, and you'll see this great drawing of a sidearm basketball pass. And it's basically coil, uncoil, pass it, right? Pass it on the uncoil.
There
you go, right?
Basketball
okay,
pass.
So that's kind of like the delivery position, right? But if you take a weighted, not a heavy medicine ball, call it like a 5 to a 10 pound medicine ball, and you learn to swing that, you can't come over the top. You won't throw it the way you need to throw it. If you're just going low to high with the arms and the uncoiling that I keep talking about on that spiral line, the ball will go up and to the left where the club goes. Same thing if you grab a cable road, you do a spiral line, low to high cable, right? That's going to train the muscles on the line. You need to do it on, you need to do it both sides so you don't develop asymmetry. That's probably the best bang for your buck there is how does the body flow and move? So even here, I'm trying to get into this position where it's going up the line that way. That's what he's describing in that book, I think, is how do you stop from coming over the top? How do you stay under the plane of glass? Well, you take that basketball and you go around that way. And I think as people watch this, you should be able to see this arc, this spiral that goes up this way. Everything in the golf swing is on an arc.
Tony makes a great point about Hogan's book, because here's the thing. I don't know if you poll golfers, I don't think it's even a controversial thing to say that Ben Hogan's 5 Modern Fundamentals of Golf it's viewed as closely to a Bible for golfers as any other piece of golf literature out there. I mean, and the thing about it is, and we talked about this on an episode before. I mean, I went back a while back and reread his section on the grip and tried to grip the golf club exactly the way he gripped it. And it only lasted about 5 balls before I was like, nah, I can't do this. Like, the club's going to fly out of my hands. It just doesn't feel right. So even something as fundamental, no pun intended, but maybe a little bit, as Ben Hogan's 5 Fundamentals book, even that, it was his way of playing the game literally 75 years ago. I mean, it's longer than that ago.
His clubs and the intended shot shape he liked to play.
That's right.
You should watch some YouTube videos of when players go and when they used to go and play down in Texas. It was either the Byron Nelson or something like that. Colonial, they'd sometimes bring out Ben Hogan's old clubs and they'd have them set up to him. They'd be like, holy crap, how do you even hit this thing? Because that's how unique golf is that golfers will build the club towards whatever they want to do. He liked to fade the ball. He wanted an anti-hook swing, right?
Because he started off, if I understand his story correctly, he started off as a massive hooker of the golf ball, and a lot of what he did working on his game was just, how do I eliminate that half of the golf course entirely? So one of the things I hate about his grip is so freaking weak. I know you don't like strong, weak, that terminology, but his grip is, it feels like it would take everything that I have in my forearm rotation just to square the club face with his grip, right? But that was fine for him because he was, I think it was you that told me the other day something about you asked Roy McIlroy when would he ever hit a fade, and he said never if I can help it. And then you ask Dustin Johnson when would you ever hit a draw, and he's like never if I can help it, right? So
Rory has started to implement like 2 other shots to his driver. One of them is the kind of bleeder fade. But if you watch a video with him, Tiger, and Nelly Korda, Tiger asked Nelly, when do you fade the ball? She goes, never. Absolutely never. And she was one of the best golfers on the planet. Same with Dustin Johnson, those types of videos. But yeah, and then I think Hogan also used to like take his irons before he had them, built to specs or whatever. He would bang them open with the 2x4 to try and get them more open and less square. And then he built up his grips. Like if you watch a video on Bubba Watson's driver, and you see people who are regular golfers, they'll put a right-handed head on it, but put the same spec, how open it is or how much. and they're like trying to hold the club in their hands. Like, how does he even put his hands around this thing? It's so much tape underneath the grip, right?
Yeah.
So again, we forget sometimes that when a professional golfer of legend, is writing their own golf instructional book, they are writing it from their perspective on how they played the game, how they understood their body to be working. They could have little to no training in biomechanics or kinesiology or golf swing, but that's how they interpret what they're doing. I feel like I'm doing this. Cool. Great. You put them on gears or something like that, 3D analysis, it might be completely off base. It might be close, right? But that's the challenge when people try to take something that someone wrote about their own experience, their own vision of how they did something. They try to recreate that. And chances are they're not even built the same way. They don't have the same injuries that Hogan had. They don't have the same hand size that Bubba Watson has. It's like going to Men's Warehouse and saying, Tiger wears this size suit, this size pants. I'm going to go put that on and look how good I look. You're going to look like crap because you're not Tiger Woods, right? It's not you.
How much of that can even go into, like, because this is one of the things that I've done. I've spent more hours than I can count looking at other people's golf swings and trying to figure out how to get myself in the same positions, because there are certain fundamental positions you have to get in, right? The closer to impact you are, the more overlap there's going to be. And I mean, pretty much every golfer in the history of ever has the same impact position. There's very little variation or deviation between one impact position and another if you're looking at a good player. Some slight ones here and there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They all have very different positions at the top. They have some different takeaways. Their delivery position, though, is pretty doggone close also. The closer you get to, to hitting the ball, the more they're going to start to kind of converge and look the same. But I've spent a lot of time looking at, where is Rory at in this position of his swing? Where is Justin Thomas at in this position of his swing? Where is Dustin Johnson at in this? And they're, again, to your point, they're built differently and their clubs are built differently. Sometimes the position that they are in at P3 or P4 on the way down or whatever, it has to be a little bit different to account for what they're doing differently with their delivery or what they're doing different with their hands. So how much of a risk is there in doing that, trying to copy other people's swings?
It's a massive risk. I mean, it's fool's gold at the end of the day, though. So like, that's where you look at ball flight laws, right? And it's like, what are the things that create these different shots or these different, outcomes? And as long as you are safely and efficiently getting into impact well, it's just sky's the limit, right? Going back to this video I just watched, it was literally just yesterday, was Tiger Woods and Rory talking about driver and how Rory's tried to add the bleeder fade and something else to his game. And Tiger is great at asking questions, right? And he says, I noticed when you said you're trying to hit this little hold off bleed or fade, you actually toe the club in at address, the driver in at address. And Rory goes, yeah, because that way I'll be reminded to not let it go. If it's already slightly closed and then he does his normal release pattern, it's hook city. So he's like, that's just a subtle little reminder to me. I toe it in a little bit, so I have to hold it a little bit more. And Tiger was like, I did the same thing whenever I was hitting fade. And that's a subtle thing that has nothing to do with their swing. It's just a setup principle and it's just a slight variation. But again, you give that to someone else and it might not work. They figured out what works for them, but to your point, yes, once you get closer to impact, the more similarities you're going to see.